Thanks again. Fran, over to you, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Fran Fraser. I'm based in South Africa. I'm the Director of Continental Services. So I really look after our partnerships here on the continent, which I think is obviously pertinent to the discussion today. Looking forward to hearing your perspectives and interest on the market on this side and to learn more about your various sectors. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, Fran. And Sue, please do a quick introduction. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see everybody on this call. My name is Sue-Ann McQuay-Wilson. I'm the Marketing Director for US Africa Trade Desk, and I'm based out of Mauritius. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, I know we had invited a number of organizations to the call this morning, and also had a number of folks joining from individual organizations. So if it's not too much trouble and don't feel like you have to come on camera, but if you wouldn't mind, if we could have somebody maybe from each different organization just say hi and kind of tell us which group you're with, that would be incredibly awesome. Thank you.
I'll start. Kurt Schultz with U.S. Grains Council, U.S. Grains and Bioproducts Council. We have a number of people on the call from our organization, but primarily corn, barley, sorghum, and ethanol exports.
Awesome, Kurt. Great to meet you. Thanks for joining this morning. Anyone else just feel like you just jump in?
I'll go ahead. Can you hear me? This is Chad Wygand. I'm Regional Director for U.S. Wheat Associates, Sub-Saharan Africa, based out of Cape Town. Currently in the U.S. and South Dakota right now with a trade team from Tanzania. So it's
awesome.
Good to be here.
Awesome, Chad. Thank you for joining. And I am jealous. I think Sue's background is Stellenbosch. So one of the most beautiful places on the planet. Not that South Dakota isn't. Thanks, Chad.
Hi, this is Chris Limp from the WISH program of the American Soybean Association.
Welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining this morning.
Hey everyone, Kelly Ewan from Rose Research. We do a lot of primary research across the continent of Africa and are supporting a reverse trade mission with NASDA for some Kenyans in Indiana in a couple of weeks.
Oh, thanks so much, Kelly. Yeah, that's exciting. We are also definitely supporting reverse trade missions and trade missions, and we'll kind of get into that later in the presentation. But that's where I particularly get most excited, because after spending 5 years on the continent, I think people need to see it. We need to be in person and be doing these exchanges more often to get more business done. Thanks, Kelly.
Fantastic. Good to hear it. Thanks, Jeremy.
Betsy Flores with the Pet Food Institute. We are looking at new opportunities in Africa and looking to see what markets would support U.S. pet food going into those markets.
Oh, thank you so much, Betsy. That's such a huge category. We're definitely tracking the need for, pet foods and just how big of a market that is, and a growing market, quite frankly, in Africa, as the middle class is expanding and getting more pets in their houses. That is a thing. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Manjusha. I represent Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute in Middle East, North Africa, and West Africa. Our interest is to promote wild, natural, and sustainable seafood, specifically Alaska salmon and whitefish varieties into the region. And I'm based in Dubai.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining, and good afternoon to you. I've been saying good morning
Good afternoon
to everyone else. I wasn't necessarily expecting such a great focus on Africa. I think maybe some of our presentation, you all are going to roll your eyes because you already know a lot of this stuff. We find that audiences do need a little bit of education on Africa, and so please just bear with us as we get through this this morning or this afternoon. Thanks. Anyone else want to jump on?
Hi there.
But-
My name is Stephanie Grudenfelder. I represent the North American Millers Association and a few other cooperators, mainly on food assistance. So a lot of work in Africa, obviously.
Oh, obviously. Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks for joining. Where are you at in the world these days?
I live in Washington, D.C.
Ah, right up the street from me here. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Jeremy, I got an update from Gavin. He says 9:16.
9:16. Okay, so we got 4 more minutes until he's there.
Yeah.
Great. I think we can hopefully kill a little bit more time here. Dawson, please.
Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Dawson Williams, and my primary focus is I consult for Cantera Partners. We're the oldest monetization agent for food aid programs, primarily Food for Progress. But we also do some work in McGovern-Dole and have done work in Food for Peace. And I also work as a consultant to the oldest food aid freight forwarder, Fedek and Donalty. Fedek and Donalty is based here in Washington, D.C. Cantera Partners is part of Burlington Capital, headquartered in Omaha, Nebraska. I live in Frederick, Maryland. So obviously, we've had a lot of interest in Africa over the years and done scores of containers and bulk shipments representing many products in the room here. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Dawson. This is going to be a really important piece, I think. What we got 2 days since the last day of USAID, and the programs coming out of the federal government, we think are probably going to land mostly at USDA for agriculture, development in Africa. So really great to have you on. Thanks. Anyone else we may have missed? Any other organizations?
Yes, this is Kimber Shears. I'm from Potatoes USA, and we are looking at new export opportunities throughout the continent. So we're at very early stages. We have a small seed export program going on right now, but we're looking for opportunities for all potatoes.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you, Kimber. Welcome. And also, yeah, potatoes. Let's do that. Will, please.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm actually in Seattle, so it's very early for me. Very early good morning. But I actually worked with Shane at USDA. I worked at USDA for many years on their food aid programs. And there's obviously a big shift in food aid and that work and moving a lot towards trade. So I'm a consultant with a lot of the NGOs that are shifting to actually building up those trade connections. So this was a really interesting year where they focused less on on-continent production and more on supporting trade initiatives. So there's a lot of really interesting work going into that these days. Actually, hopefully partnering with U.S. Africa Trade Desk on a few of those, since the NGOs have no ability to do the actual trading, but they have all the on-continent connections to everyone you could possibly know. So trying to make that system a little more smooth and make those links between the commercial buyers in countries with organizations that are actually trying to export.
Yeah, thanks, Will. What a great segue into who we are as the trade desk. Shane and I spent the bulk of our careers working kind of on the other side. We hear you. Nobody can actually implement the policy or work that they're trying to push forward. You need a partner like the trade desk. And so, we were both very excited to come on this side and actually see the work getting done, watch the trades move, watch the goods land. I think that's really exciting piece of it. So thank you. Thanks for joining.
Hi there, I'm Danielle Coco. I am with the Southern U.S. Trade Association. We are the state regional trade group that works with Southern U.S. value-added companies to help them export. And we have been doing a lot more in Africa in the last couple of years. We had our first pavilion at Food and Beverage West Africa last year. We had 2 companies with us, but still, it's a start. And a trade mission to Kenya earlier this year, and some more things planned for next year. So excited to learn more.
Oh, thanks for joining, Danielle, and so glad to hear you're taking people over to the continent to let them see the opportunities for themselves. That's very cool.
Yeah.
We hope to support you doing more of that here later this year and next year. We've got big plans.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jeremy Gabb has joined us.
Gavin has joined us. Thank God. Okay, really appreciate you all. I will stop burning this candle here and kick it over to our fearless leader, and I'll be running the presentation behind off camera. And again, please try to stay on mute. We'll again answer every question you have at the very end. Gavin Vanderberg, CEO of the U.S. Africa Trade Desk. Welcome, sir. I will kick it over to this presentation here. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody, and I do apologize for being late. I had the privilege of meeting with the Secretary of Agriculture this morning, so I thought it would be pretty important to have a quick chat to Secretary Rawlins about the fantastic opportunities that we've got to bring U.S. agricultural products into Africa. So we're going to run through a quick presentation as to why Africa is so important for your agricultural products. If we move on to slide 3, Jeremy, why Africa? What a lot of people don't realize that by 2035, Africa is going to be the largest consumer market in the world. By 2050, 1 in every 4 people in the world will be living in Africa. It is the highest and fastest growing middle class, the highest growing, fastest in terms of economic opportunity, and it really, really has untapped consumer potential. But the reality of it is Africa is still fallen very, very far behind the rest of the world in terms of economic development. And one of the core fundamentals on economic development is obviously food security. So that's kind of the reasons why we believe Africa is so critically important. The current administration has realized the importance of balancing the U.S. trade, not just with Africa, but with the rest of the world. And what that has done is it has opened up significant opportunities for U.S. agricultural products to be exported to Africa. At the end of the day, people can do without a fancy jacket and tie, but people can't do it without food. And although Africa is often regarded as the breadbasket of the world, there is so much that is lacking in terms of technology, harvests, food waste, etc., that these opportunities that the US has need to be capitalized on. And we've got a very, very short window of time in which to do that. So why the US Africa Trade Desk? As Jeremy might have mentioned, we were originally formed as a public-private partnership between Prosper Africa, which was started under the first Trump administration, continued under the Biden administration. We are privately funded. One of the things that is critically important is we do not purport to represent any foreign government. We do not purport to represent any US government department. Our interests are purely commercial. We're not a lobbyist. We're not a registered foreign agent. We only make money if there is a successful trade. And that successful trade is backed by a wealth of expertise that we've managed to onboard in our team over the last few years, as well as having the political connections and the political will to assist us in figuring out how to break down non-trade tariff barriers. We have built an extremely robust ERP and CRM platform. And we've got a whole host of back office staff actually in Mauritius. And what that does is it allows us to run full transparency, extremely efficient logistics, and make sure that we execute in every single part of that transaction's life cycle. So we don't really regard ourselves as a facilitator. We will actually be your customer. A lot of people experience challenges, and a lot of people are skeptical about doing business in Africa. Some people have had negative experiences, some people haven't. They've had fantastic experiences. But as the market for Africa grows up, opens up and evolves, it's our job and responsibility to make sure that we protect American investments and that we protect matters of national security as well. And in doing that, we believe that the best way of achieving this goal is to ensure that the transaction is well protected. And that comes off us actually taking custody over the product here in the United States. We pay in full for that product prior to it leaving. We don't take credit terms from any sale. We pay upfront for the product. We have a logistics team, which I'll cover a little bit later, and we move that product into Africa and carry the debtors book. So a couple of our core competencies is we've got market access to over 50 of the 54 countries in Africa. There is 2 countries that have US trade sanctions on them at the moment, and 2 countries that aren't currently recognized by this administration. The foundation of our business is that we are demand driven. So on the April 2nd tariff announcements, our phones were ringing off the hook on the 3rd of April with various African countries trying to figure out how they can balance their trade. And that came from the need to tap into US resources, whether that be technology, whether that be satellite communication, mobile communication, but specifically, and the easiest route to market was obviously agriculture and food products. Africa produces a huge amount, but by breaking down what each of these 50 countries currently imports from around the world, we can have a look at accessing a whole host of agricultural products, everything from soybean meal to maize, to cotton, to fish and fishery products, to value-added products as well. Now, let's not lose fact of the rising market opportunities that there actually is in Africa to take US products that have been value-added domestically here in the United States directly into retail in Africa. There is a retailer actually based out of ShopRite, based out of South Africa, called ShopRite Checkers. It's a $26-27 billion a year business, has 4,000 stores throughout Africa, and taking US product from the United States directly into Africa is one of the core objectives that we have. We shortly going to be exporting value-added chicken. So that is not just sending whole birds from the poultry industry here and the offal. We're actually sending value-added product that has been run through US pack houses, packed up in retail-ready packaging. So in that way, we create extra jobs here in the United States and bring a level of price stability in for the domestic market as well. In having activities and having boots on the ground in Africa, we also ensure that there is significant regulatory compliance and working through these non-trade tariff barriers as we see them. And that comes from something as rudimentary as a country like Mauritius requiring a fumigation certificate for US cotton, where it's not required for anywhere else in the world sending US cotton. But that is a piece of legislation that was written into their health codes many, many years ago. By having to move containers of cotton around rather than taking it directly from a gin to a port, that adds a cost of approximately $2,000, which then makes US product uncompetitive. So this is where we come in, and our team will highlight these NTBs and figure out a way to actually break those down with the support of the US government, working together with their counterparts in Mauritius. We now have actually received permission to start exporting US cotton to Mauritius without the fumigation that was previously required, because it meets the high standards of the USDA. We also have a look at building the brand. We have a vested interest in your success. We only succeed if you succeed. So please have a look at us as a sounding board. Please have a look at us as a partner to help your brand and help your identity grow. We have a fully integrated supply chain. We have preferential freight rates on some of the shipping lines because we move product both into Africa and from Africa to the United States. And I just want to touch on that point very briefly. Nothing we do in the agricultural sector on product coming from Africa to the United States competes with US production in any shape or form. Anything that we do bring in is 100% counter-seasonal, and it is a foundation of our principles from the very beginning. Thank you, Jeremy. Next slide, please. Our team is headed up by several ex-US government officials. We've had the privilege of bringing Shane on board, who many of you would have recently met. But we've also brought on board some experts within their industry. Jason Resner, our meat and seafood director, James Braswell, who does our fresh produce. Greg Poole heads up our circular cotton program, where we're actually taking US cotton, spinning and weaving it in Africa to countries that previously benefited from the AGOA agreement, and actually bringing that product back to the United States, where it is now made with US cotton rather than cotton from Bangladesh, India, China, etc. And we've got a full back office support team based out of Mauritius and a series of analysts as well, that if there is any information that you need on a specific opportunity, we're more than happy to help and give you that information. My right hand is Bill Fanjoy. He's our Director of Strategy, and he handles most of the bilateral trade and communication between the various authorities here in the United States, and working actively with the embassies across the continent of Africa. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the top 50 countries that we operate with is here, based on your screen. And if anybody would like a copy of this presentation at a later stage, Jeremy would be more than happy to circulate it. So as you can see from these countries, we cover some of the very developed countries to some of those countries that are still in the developing market. We cover east to west, north to south. Next slide, please. So how do we actually work? Our operations is based off a very robust ERP and CRM system. And in that, what we've got is a couple of steps where we've taken the integration of blockchain technology and placed it into traceability data. That allows us to ensure that there is full control and full insight over products that is moving from the United States into Africa. And then we also have a shipping validation step. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the product is already on the water. What that shipping validation step means is that we've checked that everything is in compliance in order to ensure smooth entry into the African market. And it also has a look at forward ordering and forward order planning. We are currently in the cotton market. We've just exported our first 300 tons. We have another 500 tons leaving in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we're very, very excited about the upcoming season and penetrating additional markets in Africa for US cotton. We have a strong finance team that backs us. We work with several banks domestically here in the United States, as well as with several of the African banks. And a lot of that is coordinated by our office out of New York, which is headed up by EAS. And they have a look at bridging the gap between what the market has here in the United States and what our financial needs are in Africa. Next point, please, Jeremy. So I think I've covered all of the banks, and you can see that a significant amount of these banks would be recognizable. But we also have a look at working with private equity companies such as Baylis Emerging Markets, where we can create opportunities to increase the flow of US agricultural products into a specific country that might have been importing from China or other East Asian countries. And, you know, here in particular, you would have a look at something like animal feed production, both in Mauritius or Kenya or Tanzania, etc., where if there is a significant demand for it, we would take control over the acquisition of US soybean, maize meal, etc., or soybean meals and corn, and have a look at operating with Baylis to see how we can put up a US-owned animal feed production facilities so that for at least the next 10, 15 years, we have got a supply offtake agreement for US agricultural product. We also have a look at a good and detailed product assessment, and we've got a team here in the United States that assists us with validating and verifying all of the necessary documents that we have in order to get product across to Africa. And that then continues into a team that has a look at everything from logistics. And as I mentioned, we have great relationships with IAG Cargo, which is the British Airways American Airlines Alliance, as well as with Maersk, and moving significant volumes on a bilateral basis gives us access to beneficial air freight rates. From a regulatory perspective, because we have full transparency in everything that we do, we work actively with both the USDA and the FDA, just to make sure that everything meets the correct standards. And that then obviously flows into the various routes to markets that we have, but also from a forwarding perspective here in the United States, we have partnered with TQL Logistics, who are our preferred logistics partner, and they'll be able to move everything from dry goods to frozen to fresh to perishables, etc. We outsource a lot of our staging to Lineage Logistics, and we do so because they've got such a large footprint across the United States. So, you know, it also gives us the ability to take fresh value-added chicken, as an example, put it into blast freezing capacity at Lineage before it goes for export into Africa. So it just opens up additional opportunities as well. And that flows into the route to market. So you've got a significant omni-channel shopper base, a rising omni-channel shopper base, as well as the various retailers, as well as then obviously the food service operators in Africa as well. That then flows up into the core of what we do, which is reporting and compliance. So for yourselves as cooperators, the information that you might need to show where your product has gone, how it's got there, what the reception has been, has there been any challenges, what are the additional opportunities, all of that we would be able to give you in our reporting and compliance tool, which drives off our cloud-based system called Acumatica, which runs both the ERP side as well as the CRM side. And what that does is it interfaces into a whole lot of additional warehousing platforms that you have. And it also allows us to communicate where the opportunities are back to the Department of Agriculture, the Department of State, as well as the Department of Commerce. And that then closes the loop. So, hopefully you can see we've really thought out every step in the process to make sure that it's a successful transaction. Next slide, please. So how do we work? We obviously would like to source through the cooperators from US farms, US manufacturers, US value-added companies, et cetera, et cetera. We take possession and we take ownership. So we are the vendor of record, and we will be your client here in the United States. We handle all of the logistics and transport, whether that be air freighting fresh product out, as well as the sea freight, whether it's shelf stable, ambient, frozen sea freight containers. We handle all of that. We work very closely with colleagues from the USDA as well as the FDA to make sure that the product that we are sending out is compliant to US standards, because there's a significant reliance in Africa that the product does meet the required health standards here in the United States. And by doing so, it either meets or exceeds the standards that is required in Africa. And we also have the boots on the ground, but also access to significant amounts of market intelligence through our retail partnerships that we have in Africa. And that then identifies where there is an unmet need. I mean, we had a retailer contact us last week, in fact, that said, please provide me with the top 20 value-added US food lines that we can import directly and put directly onto our shelves. So these are the kind of opportunities that there is out there as well. It's not just purely for the commodity side of things, but also for the value-added products as well. Next slide, please. Our agricultural categories, obviously fresh produce, fruit and vegetables is pretty high on our list. From the meat and poultry section, chicken, beef, and pork. And that's across everything from your organic chicken breasts all the way right down to your non-organic chicken feet, necks, livers, etc. Grains and feeds is high on our radar at the moment: rice, wheat, cornmeal, soybean meal. We're also having a look at ethanol as a big export, nuts, almonds, hazelnuts, walnuts, pecans, and peanuts, significant interest in that. And obviously on our textile side of it, US cotton. So the benefits of what we do is we have a look at strengthening rural economies here in the United States, trying to become a little bit more resilient to and a little bit more less reliant on exports to Asian countries. The escalating trade wars can cause significant harm to a lot of product that has been going to China and other Asian countries, as well as perhaps India, Brazil, etc. And we want to be your conduit for accessing new markets in Africa. And also, just enhancing your global competitiveness through streamlined logistics. That's always been a challenge that we've seen from African buyers that have this willingness to purchase US products, but have always faced the challenge of significant freight costs. Now, I'll give you an example. To move a trial container of soybean meal from the US East Coast to the island of Mauritius is $7,000. To move that same container through the Panama Canal to China costs $400. So it's very clearly obvious that East Africa won't be buying that product from the United States. But in streamlining our logistics and negotiating better freight rates and taking directly from the cooperators, the producers, directly to the end market in Africa, that streamlined logistics and full transparency actually does make US product competitive. We also have a look at long-term offtake agreements, which then gives you a level of demand predictability. being the vendor of record and being the buyer and your client here in the United States, we've reduced your risk. We pay you upfront for anything that we purchase. And then we're also having a look at giving you better price realization, particularly on value-added products as well. And the market access beyond your traditional destinations. Next slide, please, Jeremy. So current exports to Africa. As I mentioned right in the very beginning, we were very focused on bringing product from Africa to the United States. We've already started to export from, as you can see on your screen, from the southeast, targeting South Africa and Mauritius. In the works at the moment, we've got over $600 million worth of opportunities, which is going to be expanding our footprint quite significantly across the United States. So if you have a look at the next slide, these are the active states that we are going to be working in. One back, Jeremy. These are the active states that we have transactions on currently. And you can see our footprint has extended quite extensively from the southern part of Africa into Angola, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland, Madagascar, Kenya, Ghana, Senegal, Morocco, and it's just growing. We are working hand in hand with a significant amount of additional African countries that are looking at deleveraging their reliance on China and becoming much more US purchase orientated. Next slide, please. Counter seasonal opportunities. I think that's critically important. You know, there is an opportunity for the export of various products that are grown in the Northern Hemisphere to areas in sub-Saharan Africa. And that includes everything from blueberries to apples to citrus products. And you can just scroll through them, Jeremy. So obviously apples, citrus, blueberries, soybean meal as well is becoming extremely big for us. Maize as well is becoming extremely big for us. And the opportunities just keep on growing. There's good opportunities beyond what we're working with at the moment for rice exports, particularly into West Africa. Chicken exports as well is growing. There's a massive demand for chicken. A huge amount of the countries that we deal with have historically been purchasing a significant amount of their chicken out of Brazil and are more than happy to pivot to US chicken because it's helping with their trade deficits. Pork products as well. Also significant opportunities into the southern part of Africa as well. So just touching back very briefly on logistics and the affiliations that we have. Maersk is a pretty big partner of ours. IAG Cargo, as I mentioned, they move all of our time-sensitive and highly valuable perishables. We coordinate everything centrally through our logistics partner called PlusZero. Domestically here in the United States, we service by TQL Logistics in partnership with Lineage Logistics for warehousing and temperature-controlled cold storage. So we regard ourselves as your one-stop solution provider. We're not the be-all and end-all, but what we are offering is to help scale, to help innovate, and to provide access to the preferential rates that we get. A lot of the times there might be an opportunity in Africa where they would like to trial or test something first, and it doesn't make economic sense to take an entire shipload or an entire full container. And I'll use this as an example. We've got a feed company in Africa that needs to run the soybean meal and the corn through their machinery and equipment first, just to make sure that the moisture content, etc., actually works with the equipment that they've got. And we're exporting their first 100 tons in sea freight containers. And then obviously they're moving into to full shiploads where they're going to be taking 25,000 tons of corn and 15,000 tons of soybean meal. So loading up a 50,000 ton Panamax vessel 4 to 5 times a year to a small little country, and most of you might not even know where they are, called Mauritius. So by combining our global scale and the partnerships that we actually have, I think it's critically important to please, reach out to us for any advice that you might have. Maximize where we can actually assist you. So regard us not just as a customer of yours, but also regard us as one of the solution providers in order to help you to tap into the 2.5 billion population by 2050. We also have a look at, again, predictable export programs is so critically important. It helps in your demand planning, it helps in your production planning, and then also having a look at highlighting the high quality and the high standards that we have here in the United States. So with that, I'm just going to go over to, the final reasons in terms of why we're having a look at offering our support to maximize your opportunities. And we know Africa, we know African customers, and we know how to get the right US products in front of the right African consumers. Really encouraging you to accelerate your market entry into Africa, and please feel free to use us as a conduit. As I mentioned before, we are purely commercially based. We invest heavily in research and development and making sure we get the right products in, but we actually only make money when there is a successful transaction. So that's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present our organization to you. On the screen is the key members of our team. Jeremy, who you've met, Shane, Bill, and myself, based here across the United States. I'm from Florida. We've got DC, Virginia represented here as well. So please feel free to reach out to us at any stage. We're happy to have one-on-one conversations. We're happy to have collective foundation conversations, and really just provide you with what we believe is a fantastic opportunity to increase US agricultural products into Africa. Thank you.